and I think, he's going to be successful in his comeback, and I picked him to win.
Nobody expected Terence Crawford to react like this after seeing Errol Spence Jr. are looking in amazing shape ahead of the Tim Tszyu fight.
Obviously, a few things before I do let it go. Errol Spence is returning against Tim Tszyu. Just wanted your thoughts on the return of Errol.
I think Errol's going to do an amazing job. I'm looking forward to him getting back.
Terence Crawford made it clear that he has respected Spence for years and always admired his journey from the amateur ranks to becoming one of boxing's biggest stars.
I'm a Spence fan. When we build up, I'm like, man, hey, let me get your autograph. You know what I mean? Because I watched you come up. I'm older than you, but I watched you, rooted for you when you was in the amateurs, when you was in the Olympics, all that.
That respect is why many fans were surprised to hear Crawford speak so openly and positively about Spence at a time when the boxing world is heavily focused on Errol's comeback, his new physique, and the pressure surrounding his return to the ring.
I was a fan of Spence. I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. And he beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. He beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
Like I said, that's a...
Errol Spence looked absolutely locked in as he destroyed the heavy bag ahead of his highly anticipated clash with Tim Tszyu. Ahead of the historic, undisputed welterweight championship fight, Errol gave fans a close look at his preparation during a focused and intense media workout session. The boxing world is split on Errol's return. Still, elite trainer Boozy Ennis delivered a firm reality check to anyone doubting him ahead of a showdown with Tim Tszyu, warning fans not to underestimate what Spence still brings to the ring.
I think that's going to be a good fight, man. Everybody just sleeping on my man Spence, man. I think Spence going to do what he's supposed to do, man. And then he fighting a guy that can really fight. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, he's a good boxer, nothing, but he comes to fight. You know what I mean? So this is going to be a good test for Spence, I think. What Spence should be doing, Spence should be Spence, man. But he must move his head, though. Because Spence should come right at you and just throw the punches. He got to and work on catching them shots. You know what I mean? If you ain't going to move your head, you got to catch some shots. You know what I mean? With your hands,
Decision is stoppage. How's that fight out?
I think it's going to be a stoppage. Somebody getting stopped. And I'm going with Spence.
So the WBC and IBF champion Spence Jr. displays a noticeably shredded physique, highlighting the intensity and discipline of his training camp as he prepares for his next bout. The physical transformation reflects his commitment to the gym and signals that he is entering peak condition ahead of his highly anticipated return to the ring. This development underscores his championship focus. On the Portaway podcast, the panel analyzes the highly anticipated showdown between Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu. weighing each fighter's strengths, recent form, and tactical advantages, while debating who is most likely to come out on top in this marquee matchup and offering differing predictions on how the fight could unfold stylistically in the ring.
The main problem for Tim Tszyu against Errol is going to be that jab. What does he do against that busy, constant jab
Errol
on Errol's
jab,
side?
right?
Yeah, Errol just keeping that jab in his face.
Yeah.
I mean, when Bomac prepared for Terence, he said that's the #1 thing we got to take away from him. He fights off his jab. He gets confidence off his jab. He builds off his jab. He dominates you off the jab. So take the jab away, and we got the fight won.
Right.
Tim Tszyu is not Terence Crawford. So I don't know how he deals with that jab. Again, I think Errol's bigger than him. He's at his best busier than him. But Robert Garcia said today he thinks Errol won't have anything left by the time they do make that fight.
He's really like one of those master kung fu artists, but in boxing. You know what I mean? So he's a masterful boxer. You know?
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that we're looking at Tim Tszyu that doesn't have that kind of.
Let's take a look at Tszyu's training camp, which shows how seriously he is preparing for his next fight. He is doing tough running sessions, working on focused boxing drills, and improving his technique step by step. His routine is well planned, helping him build fitness, sharpen his skills, and get fully ready for the upcoming bout.
Go.
B. Aquí, same point, right? Okay, F, that is the side. Don't move the leg, no. You look in front, B, right? Okay.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I was just taking a shot.
Huh?
Sean Porter on a recent episode of his podcast broke down Errol and Tim's moment by pointing out where Spence allegedly overstepped by pushing the pace in a way he shouldn't have, and went on to lean towards Tszyu as his pick to win the fight.
For a segment of the audience thinking that on fight night against Terence Crawford. So I'm questioning that kind of stuff. And what I took from their interactions together is Spence, we all have a button, Sean, right? Like we all have this one button, if you press it, that we're very sensitive to, a certain topic or something about our character or that we've been through. And he pressed Tszyu's button when he said, you're trying to fight to get out of your daddy's shadow and you're not the caliber of your dad. And that really pissed Tim Tszyu off and made him say, you know, I was just trying to give you a handshake and a hug because this is really the last fight of your career, but you know, basically to hell with it now. Right. And you know, I think Spence is the bigger guy, but I'm leaning towards Tim Tszyu to win this fight. And again, I said it when we had Rahman on, I think he's the sharper puncher at this stage of their careers. I saw Spence getting off balance a lot in the Crawford fight. And yeah, he's fighting probably the best fighter of this generation in Terence Crawford. That'll do it sometimes. But I also just saw a fighter whose balance wasn't good on the punches.
That classic Errol Spence wanting to go over to Australia to beat Tim in his own land, his own city, you know, in Australia, his country, whatever the case may be, is one would refer to that as being ballsy, but it's Errol Spence. That's just who he is, you know. I'm inclined to believe that Errol Spence beats Tim.
So happy having Errol Spence back. He's already done so much in this game. Being a unified welterweight champion, the WBC, WBA, and IBF world champion. So it's great having him back. He's got big wins over some great names like Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, Yordanis Ugas. So it's just great having him back. I'm personally very happy, and I think that it's going to be a big night for him, big night for us. And
Tim Tszyu always turns up to fight. He's shown here on many occasions what it actually means to jump in the ring. He's a warrior, and I know that he wants to get